So my family is out of town at the moment, and I find myself with some extra time on my hands. So I've been down in the garage going through the 100K collection, and I've been setting aside books for GarageCon, which is coming up on November 11th. And there are some details in the description of this video for those of you that are interested in attending. But I'm also setting aside books for my various whatnot sales. And last night I was going through a bin and I found a really awesome comic.
Oh, this just happened. Just pulled it out of the 100K collection. Very cool finds. I need to keep going to see if there's more copies.
That I decided to send in to CGC, and I'm going to bundle it with some other books that I found in the collection. Stay tuned. So here it is. This is one of the really awesome books that I found in the collection. This is a book that I thought that I should have in the collection, but for whatever reason, I had not come across it. It is Super Mario Brothers #1, a really awesome comic. I was a big fan of Super Mario back in the day. I never played the Super Mario 3, but the original Super Mario, I played that a ton as a kid. This is an awesome book. The book does have some defects, and fingers crossed that those defects can be improved with a press, but the card stock that they actually use for this cover is pretty thick, so we'll see whether that can be improved. But I am sending this book in. This is an awesome comic to have found in the collection. I do believe that there are less than 800 total copies of this book that have been graded by CGC. But right behind this book, I found another book. This one, Super Mario Brothers Special Edition issue #1. Another really awesome comic, partly because of the historical significance of this book. I do believe that this is the first comic that was released by Valiant back in the day. And I think that there are fewer than 600 copies of this specific comic graded by CGC. So two really awesome books that kind of encouraged me to do some more hunting. And just a few minutes ago, I found Super Mario Brothers 2. I found two copies technically of that. And I found all four of these books in a bin that had been labeled, or I'm sorry, two different bins that had been labeled Valiant. Bins that I thought that I had gone through in the past, but clearly didn't go through well enough. And I can tell you for a fact, I haven't been in those two bins in a very long time, just because they were marked Valiant. I thought that I knew what was in there, but clearly didn't. So I found the two #1s of Super Mario Brothers and two #2s. So a couple of really awesome comics. Yesterday, while I was hunting, I also came across two copies of Judge Dredd. This is issue #1. I want to say that I've already found several copies. I've moved those copies on to other people, but I found two more, and I feel like I'm going to send both of these in to be graded. One of them has a little bit of crud on the cover that I think that I can remove before I send it in. But all of these I will do a clean and press through CGC. So I know people like to ask me that question about, do I still press my own books? Unfortunately, while I have time this weekend, I generally don't have a ton of time for that. So I do not press my own books anymore. I allow CGC to actually do that for me. This next book is cool. This is where this submission started, when I found this book last week. This is G.I. Joe Special issue #1, a homage to Spider-Man issue #1 from the 90s. And I do believe that this is a reprint of issue #61 of G.I. Joe, but the interior pages are actually done by Todd McFarlane. This book and really the Super Mario Brother books actually go for a pretty penny. So really cool book to have found. I want to say I have one more copy of this book somewhere, but for the life of me, I cannot find it. I probably pulled it out for a video or photo or something like that for Instagram and put it back, not in a place that I remember. So it is what it is. Fingers crossed that I find it eventually. So these next two books are ones that have been set aside in two different bins for a long period of time. They were actually found at different times and set aside, of course, at different times. But I decided to go ahead and send these two in because Jonathan Hickman is now going to be taking on Ultimate Spider-Man. And so I decided to submit Ultimate Spider-Man issue number 1. Technically 2 copies of it will actually go in. These 2 books actually can go for a nice chunk of money in higher grade, and I think I have two solid copies, definitely not 9.8s, but definitely high quality books. So we're going to be sending both of these in. I am excited to see what it is that Jonathan Hickman actually does with Ultimate Spider-Man, and it'll be interesting to see whether he actually pulls in the Ultimate X-Men as well, and whether there is some kind of connection between what he did with House of X and Powers of 10 and what he may potentially do with the Ultimate X-Men. And I bring that up because based upon what I've seen out there, the Ultimate X-Men were actually more popular than Ultimate Spider-Man. And so while he's working on Ultimate Spider-Man, it's a question of, is he going to build out the universe beyond Spider-Man, or is he just going to focus on him? As you know, with House of X and Powers of 10, he built out an entire universe that affected all of mutants. And so in my mind, he potentially could do the same thing for the new Ultimate Universe. But only time will tell whether that is pure speculation on my part or something that he's actually going to do. So some really awesome books. I'm going to bundle these up and get them out of here hopefully on Monday to CGC. I like to send out shipments early in the week versus at the end of the week, so I should be able to make this magic happen relatively soon. So I'm going to wrap this video up. I want to thank you all for taking the time to watch. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and please keep your fingers crossed for some good grades with all of these books. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and do that. And if you want to reach out to me, you can do that on Instagram at Regie Collects. Take care. Before I let you go, I want to give you guys a reminder to head over to SWOLDIERpublishing.com to order a copy of Marcus issue number 1. This is an awesome comic that will be released after New York Comic Con, and you do not want to miss out on this amazing read. It is an interactive comic with music, with videos, all kinds of awesome stuff built into it. Do not miss it. SWOLDIERpublishing.com.
This thing on? Mic check. I just want to make sure y'all can hear me clearly. Yeah. Should you practice art? Or should art be your practice? I had a question, so I asked it. Not to anyone specifically, but to my inner God, you know? The one that's gonna be a master. The one that's more than a rapper. The one that's an educator. The one that seeks enlightenment. He travels with concepts. He's got the mindset expansive. He understands that his time combined with travel and concepts makes his mind convex. Sort of like when you look at a brain scan. Straight off meditation, we was concaving until we had that eternal dialogue that created our dialect. Now we in distinct rooms of pure souls having them conversations. Synergy and combination.